प्रतिपोधितां भगवतां नारायणेन स्मयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वाम् अनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम्. Namaskar to all and welcome to this session on leaderships through Bhagavad Gita. In the last session, we started Bhagavad Gita, a NETRUTVA model at the level of the team, and we saw the introduction. We dedicated this course to the eternal chariot, eternal charioteer who drives us through all the calamities which we go through, and also he holds our hand at all given points of time. Now, coming to NETRUTVA model at the team level. NETRUTVA, when we say we are going to expand this particular model across certain rubrics which form a cohesive team. The first is nourishing relationships. When we are talking of nourishing relationships, we will be seeing how we can strengthen our relationships. Second is empathy, putting ourselves in the other person's shoes, feeling how the other person is feeling, and realizing how it would be when it happens to us. The third is transformation. Any relationship should be transformational and not transactional. How much can we give? How much can we sacrifice? How much have we done to others before even expecting something from others? The fourth is respect for all. When people work along with us, when people are with us, we need to respect each one as the carrier of the divine soul. Every person is capable of contributing to the team. The fifth is unity in diversity. We might be divided by caste, we might be divided by education, we might be divided by social standards, we might be divided in terms of regions, but how do we see unity in diversity? Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishtaha mattasmritihi gnanam apohanam cha vedaischa sarvaihi ahameva vidyaha vedanta krit veda videha chaham is the 15th verse of the 15th shloka of the Bhagavad Gita, where he says, I am in the hearts of everybody. Angushtamatra purushaha madhye atmani tishtati. I am there in everybody and I connect. In the 7th verse of the 7th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita also, Krishna says, Mattah parataram nanyate kinchidasti dhananjaya mai sarvamidam protam sutre manigana iva. I connect all of you through that spiritual cord, and that spiritual cord cannot be cut by anybody. This unity in diversity is what we need to see. Tolerance is another trait what we need to develop when we have to work in teams. The second chapter, 14th verse of the Bhagavad Gita, Tam titikshasva bharata. The word titiksha or forbearance is given there. The higher levels of tolerance is forbearance. How can we tolerate? How can we forbear is a very important aspect. The next is veracious conduct, truth by thought, word and deed. In the 17th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, 14th, 15th, 16th verses, Krishna talks about penance. Krishna talks about tapas. Anudvegakaram vakyam, satyam. He says satyam. Satyam priyahitam chayate. Swadhyayabhyasanam chaiva. Vangmayam tapa uchyate. The 15th verse of the 17th chapter. The 14th verse talks about the Sharirika tapas. Deva Dvija Guru Prajnaha Pujanam Shaucham Archavam Brahmacharyam Ahimsacha Shariram Tapa Uchyate. And the 16th verse talks about the Manasika tapas. Manaf Prasada Saumyatvat Maunam Atma Vinigraha Atma Samshuddhi Ityetat Tapo Manasa Uchyate. The Satyam, by thought, word, and deed, being truthful, is what is told in the veracious conduct, and we will discuss each of these in detail. And finally, accountability. When we take up an activity, we need to be accountable for that particular activity. Accountability is a very important aspect. These 8 rubrics for an effective team, a performing team, a happy team, and a delightful team is what we are going to see in the next 24 sessions of this particular course, NETRUTVA Model at the level of the team. First, we will take up nourishing relationships. We are in a society, and relationships are definitely going to be there. When we are in society, there is interaction. People come in contact with us, and when people come in contact with us, we will have different types of relationships, whether it's a personal relationship or a professional relationship. It can be a business relationship. It can be a part of the family. How do we strengthen this relationship, and how we have to do our duty? What are the duties, what we need to do in strengthening or nourishing the relationships? We need to see the first one is Yagna, the potent catalyst. In the 10th verse of the 3rd chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says there is something called Yagna. When we first hear this word Yagna, we all feel that it is the fire sacrifice done at all temples. That is the external representation of the Yagna. When we go to a temple, they perform the Havan, they perform the Homa, they perform a sacrifice in the fire. How do they do that? What is the underlying meaning of this Homa, Havana, or the fire sacrifice? It is basically aligning the thought, word, and deed. The thought, word, and deed. Karanatraya sarupyam iti saukhya rasayanam. Karanatraya sarupyam. The trikarana which we are talking about. Yad vachavadati tad karmana karoti. Yad manasadhyayati tad vachavadati. Yad manasadhyayati. What you think in the mind, tad vachavadati. That is what we need to speak. Yad vachavadati tad karmana karoti. What you speak, we need to do. He is called a Mahatma. Manasyekam, vachasyekam, karmanyekam Mahatmana. Manasyanyat, vachasyanyat, karmanyannat, duratmana. Very importantly, when we look at the Havan, when we look at the Homa, when they are pouring the oblation or offering the oblation, at that point in time, they start chanting the mantra. The mantra is on the God. Sarvantaryamine Shri Vishnave Swaha. Vishnava Paramatmana Idan Namama, they will say. When they say that, Vishnu is coming out of their mouth. Yad vacha vadati. In the mind, they remember the expanse of that Lord. They remember the peaceful contour of the Lord. Kshiro Dhanvat Pradeshe, Shuchimani Vilasat Saikade Muktikanam, Mala Kriptasanastas Patikamani Bhai, Muktikaihi Manditangaha, Shubreirabrairadabreihi, Upari Virachitaihi, Mukta Piyusha Varshaihi, Anandina Puniyadhara, Nalina Gadha, Shankha Panir Mukundaha. What I just now chanted is the Dhyana Shloka of the Vishnu Sahasranama. Many people, when they chant the Dhyana Shloka, they will be in a tearing hurry. Dhyana Shlokas are chanted to prepare our mind for the Sahasranama to come, or for the Shlokas what we chant to come by. That is why it is called Dhyana Shloka. When we are contemplating on Mahavishnu, just before the Vishnu Sahasranama, Kshirodhanvat Pradeshe, we are contemplating on the Kshirabdhi Natha. In the Kshirabdhi, Kshirodhanvat Pradeshe, it is a milk ocean. Shuchi Mani Vilasat Saikate Muktikanam. It is white everywhere. And the waves of the milk ocean are rising, and when it is falling on Adishesha, when it is falling on the Kshirabdi Natha, it is forming like pearls. Saikate Muktikanam Mala Kripta Sanastas Patika Madinibhaihi Muktikaihi Manditangaha. The milk ocean, it decides. The waves are coming up. That is my nature. Now, what should I do? These droplets of milk which is coming, let me form a garland around the Lord and serve him like a pearl necklace. Mala kriptasanastas patikamani. Here you can see every action. Even the milk ocean thinks that that action should be pleasing to the Lord and should be subservient to the Lord. Mala kripta sanastas patikamani mauktikaihi manditangaha shubhrairabrairadabhraihi upari virachitaihi mukta piyusha varshaihi. Everything is white. And that whiteness, when you are contemplating on the Lord, should come to our heart. Then, Dhara Nalina Gada Shankhapanir Mukundaha. In the Adishesha is white, the milky ocean is white, and the Lord, who has got a bluish hue, is sleeping there with another white Shankha, or the conch, in his hand. This has to be contemplated. Om Vishnave Swaha, Vishnava Paramatmana Idan Namama. When you say, when Vishnu comes out of the mouth, that Vishnu as Kshirabdhinatha should be in our heart, or that Lord who came as Krishna and then preaching the Bhagavad Gita should be in our heart. And the hand, the deed, it is giving the oblation. So any havan, any homa, what we see is an external representation of the alignment of thought, word, and deed. Here, that is the meaning of yagna, where you align the thought, word, and deed. And in the 10th verse of the 3rd chapter, Sahayajnah Prajashritva Purovacha Prajapatihi Anena Prasavishyadvam Yesha Vostvishta Kamadhuk. Krishna says, Prajapatihi, the Lord of all subjects, Sahayajnehi, along with the sacrifices, Pura, Long back, Prajashtva, having created the beings or subjects, Uvacha, told to them like this: Anena, by the sacrifice, Prasavishadvam, become prosperous. Yeshaha, let the sacrifice be. Vaha Ishta Kamathuk Astu, the Kamadhenu which gives all the desires. This is the 10th verse of the third chapter. The Karma Yoga brings out a word called Yagna. The Lord creates in four different distinctions. Chaturvarnyam maya shrishta gunakarma vibhagashaha tasya kartaram apimam akartaram avyayam. That is what he says. We saw this verse in the last session also. Chaturvarnyam, in four different divisions, is what I create. That is the celestials, the devas, the humans, the manushyas, the jangamas, the animals and reptiles and birds, the sthavaras, which are non living, or even the trees and plants. Sthavara, Jangama, Manushya, Devas. Samasta Vyashti Shrishti. That is the four divisions of creation. Now, when we are working the sacrifice, the meaning of sacrifice here is what we offer as work, and every work has to be offered to the Lord. That is the highest form of working at spiritual level. We will slowly expand this particular statement. Now, coming to this fourfold division, Chaturvarnyam Maya Shrishta, which he says, we need to understand that the three divisions do their Varnashrama Dharma without any fault. When we see the almanac, when we see the Panchangam, the almanac, if it is said that the sun has to rise at 6:12, the sun will rise at 6:12 and not 6:13 or 6:11. So the celestials, they do their Varnashrama Dharma correctly. If the bird has to chirp in front of our house at 4 a.m. in the morning, it will not chirp at 4:01 or 3:59. The Jangamas would do their Varnashrama Dharma rightly. If a flower has to bloom in a particular season, it will bloom in a particular season. If the tree has to give mangoes in a particular season, it would give mangoes in that particular season. The Sthavaras would also do their Varnashrama Dharmas rightly. But when it comes to a human being, one day he would, if he has to catch a flight, he would get up at 3 a.m. If it is a Sunday, he would get up at 10 a.m. If he has to go to the office, he would get up at 6 a.m. It goes on varying. The discrimination faculty, what we have, we don't use it to the right things. That is why we need to understand that we have to do our Varnashrama Dharma, and when sun rises, he helps all of us. When the tree gives fruits, it helps all of us. When the bird chirps, it helps all of us. How many people have we helped through our work is what is important. So we will look at the word yajna and relate it to what is work. This is a beautiful verse from the Subhashitani. Prathama vayasi pitam toya malpam smarantaha shirasi nihita bharaha narikela naranam dadati jalamanalpa swadam ajivitantaha nahi kritam upakaraha sadhavo vismaranti. This is an example or a simile of a coconut tree. A tree is given water by people. When a coconut tree grows where nobody is there, Then water flowing in the canal, the rainwater, all that source of water would grow this tree. When it was a sapling, it takes in water. The water may also be marshy water. Water also might be from the drainage which comes out, which is stinking. But it takes in the water. It does not say that the water stinks. It does not say that you have not given the water. It says that I got the water from the nature. It does not see what source it has got. It does not see in what form it has got. It has seen that it has received water. Prathama vayasi pitham. When it is a sapling, it drinks lots and lots of water. Toyam alpam smarantaha. And once it grows, once the bunches of coconut comes, the coconut, it takes that load on its head. The coconut tree, it takes the full load on its head and it says, you gave me water that day when I was a sapling. You were responsible for my growth. Today, this is the outcome of what little water I have received in the beginning and abundance of water I have received at a later date. Today, this entire coconut crop, I do not want a single coconut. It is for all of you. Dadati jalaman alpa swadham ajivitantaha. In the same way, good and noble people do not forget a service done to them. A team member might have done one thing which is good. Remember that and not maybe five things which has not fitted your bill. Very importantly, God remembers one upakara and forgets 100 apakaras. We remember 100 apakaras but forget one upakara. That is very important. That is why Prathama Sujanaya Pumse Mahyamapi Prathama Durjanaya Namaha. It has said, Mahyamapi Prathama Durjanaya Namaha. Namaskaras to the Lord who is the Sujana. Namaskaras to me also who is a Durjana. Why? Because I see 100 apakaras, I see 100 faults. I forget that one good what a person has got. But God forgets 100 faults, but sees one good what that person has done. Remembering with gratitude the small amount of water given in early age, a coconut tree will carry for people nectar like water on its head throughout their life. Very important. What we have given, it is tasteless water. What we have given, it is not mineral water. What we have given, it might be recycled water. What we have given might be water. What it has taken might be water from the sewage which is going. But what it gives, it is sweet water. In a team, look at one good quality, what it has got, and whatever people have given us, let us give back that sweetness what the coconut has given. Prathama vayasi pitam toyamalpam smarantaha shirase nihita bharaha narikela narhanam dadati jalamanalpa swadham ajivinantaha nahi kritam upakaraha sadhavo vismaranti. For many, many centuries, Yagnikas, people who do the Yagna, were struggling to give the meaning to the word Yagna. They were not able to define what is Yagna. Externally, they were doing something. For the first time in the history of Indian philosophical culture, Krishna calls Karma Yoga as Yajna. The Bhagavad Gita gives the meaning of Yajna. He calls Karma Yoga as Yajna. In 3.9, from 3.9 to 3.13 is phenomenal. He gives the explanation that karma yoga is yajna, work is yajna, work with surrender is yajna, work as worship is yajna. यज्ञार्थात् कर्मणोऽन्यत्र लोकोऽयं कर्मबन्धनः तदर्थं कर्म कौन्तेय मुक्तसङ्गः समाचर सह यज्ञाः प्रजाः सृष्ट्वा पुरोवाच प्रजापतिः अनेन प्रसविष्यध्वं एष वोस्त्विष्ट कामधुक् देवान् भावयतानेन ये देवा भावयन्तु वः परस्परं भावयन्तः श्रेयः param avapsyatam. Here he brings in the relationships, he brings in the teams. Ishtan bhogan hivo deva dasyante yajnabhavitaha tairdaktan apradayebhyaha yo bhunkte sthena yeva saha yagnashishtashinas santo muchyante sarvakilbishaihi bhujyate te tu akham papa ye pachanti Atmakaranat. Ye pachanti Atmakaranat. A person without offering his effort, a person who does a job without expending his effort, who's that such a person steals. A person who does not distribute the outcome, such a person steals. This is very, very important. That is what is told here in the verses 3:9 to 3:13. How can yajna be a chakra? It is called a yajna chakra, the wheel of yajna. Like a potter's wheel, vehicle wheel, sugarcane juice wheel. We have seen a lot of wheels. We have seen the wheel of samsara. But there is a wheel of yajna. From the Brahma to the Pipilika, Brahmadi Stambha from Brahma to a blade of grass, the entire creation is stuck in this Yagna Chakra. Because in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna calls it as a Yagna Chakra. And now, what is Yagna? What is the sacrifice? When we go to the temple, we call the Havan as sacrifice, the fire sacrifice. The Taittiriya Brahmana, Vedas are always having a hidden meaning. We should understand. That is why in the Tamil language it is said Marai. Marai means something which is covered. Vedas always have a hidden meaning, and we need to understand Vedas through proper commentaries. Just by understanding Sanskrit, we cannot give commentary to the Veda. Itihasa Puranabhyam Vedam Samupabramhayet. Bibhet Alpashruta Veda. It is said. Itihasa and Puranas are the Vyakhyanas. There are people like Rangaramanuja, there are people like Sayana who have written Vyakhyanas for Vedas because they have gone to the Garbha of that Vedas. Now the Taittiriya Brahmana beautifully brings out Brahmane Brahmanamarabhate Kshatraya Rajanyam Marudbhyo Vaishyam Tapase Shudram Tamase Taskaram Narakaya Virahanam Papmane Klibam. These are the lines of Taittiriya Brahmana. It talks about 184 human sacrifice. Like how in the olden days the Ashwamedha had a horse for sacrifice. The Vajapeya had a horse for sacrifice. This Anuvaka of the Taittiriya Brahmana talks about human sacrifice, where humans are sacrificed. The meaning at the surface gives us this particular feeling that 184 humans have been sacrificed. But when we go internally, Brahmane Brahmanamarabhate Kshatraya Rajanyam. Here people have asked, this particular thing may not be true. Max Muller said, in a country where people are respected, how can you say that people should be sacrificed? It says, in a country, if people with God consciousness should increase, then Brahmanas have to be sacrificed. Devotees should be sacrificed by tying them to sacrificial poles. This is the superficial meaning of this particular Veda mantra. In a country, if soldiers with the Kshatriya Shakti should be improved, then soldiers must be sacrificed by tying them to sacrificial poles, the Upastamba. If rivers and lakes in a state should be fine, then fishermen should be sacrificed by tying them to sacrificial poles. People saw, what is this? It does not have any meaning. Max Muller was stunned to see this. In the history of ancient Sanskrit literature, published in 1926, page number 220, he says it does not follow from this legend that rishis followed human sacrifices. He concluded, rishis cannot be so cruel. They would not be doing human sacrifices. It does not follow from this legend that rishis followed human sacrifices. Rishis are not just people who ran away from their duties and then sat. Rishis are people who re-see, we need to understand, who see, re-see again and again into the same subject. Today's researchers, today's scientists are rishis. Morris Winterness, in the history of Indian literature, has said that it is hardly conceivable that all these classes of people should have been brought together and killed. People who understood the womb of this particular Veda mantra have given these commentaries. It is hardly conceivable that all these classes of people should have been brought together and killed. We have to deal here only with the symbolical rite representing the kind of human sacrifice by which even the great horse sacrifice has been outdone, but which only existed only as a part of sacrificial mysticism and theory, and in reality hardly occurred. He says, when a person understands this Taitriya Brahmana Anuvaka and follows this, even the Ashwamedha and Vajpaya yaga would be put to shame. There might be some other meaning to this. This is what Morris Winterness says in the history of Indian culture. Now, what is the meaning? The place where a Pashu is tied is called as the Upastamba, which is called as the post, which is called as a position. Like how the sacrificial animal is tied to the Upastamba or a post or a position, we are tied to our jobs. We are tied to the duty. Every post of the society is a post of sacrifice. Every chair is a seat of sacrifice. Every place we sit, every job we perform should become a sacrifice. The chair is a Upastamba. If we are sitting in an organization, we are not sitting there with the power of being the director or power of being a manager. We are sitting there with the humility of performing the sacrifice, because that is the chair of sacrifice. That is the post of sacrifice. Like how a Salakshana Pashu is tied, in the same way, each one of us is tied onto our sacrificial chair, into our position. So here, like how you are tying a Salakshana Pashu, in the same way, we will have to have a job ability fit. A person who has the knowledge, when you sit on a chair, we need to dare to learn. We need to dare to learn. Or if we have to dare to sit on a chair, we need to care to learn. We need to understand that. Knowledge, skills, and abilities. The KSAs, which we talk in HR management, the job ability fit. And this job ability fit makes a person sit on that particular chair. And he has to be working with a feeling of sacrifice. No sacrifice, no creation. Until we give, we cannot take something back. That is why today also in many of the websites we say that upload something to download something. Only when we upload a particular document, it will allow us to download what we want. In the same way, a person, he has to give back to the society. Only when there's a bank balance in the bank, we can draw. Bhunte stena eva saha. If a person does not give anything back to the society, anything back to the team, and wants to just extract from the society or from the team, then such a person is a thief, and he will eat only what is sin. Annam pranam tamu jivatu mahuhu. Annam brahmano jarasam vadanti. Annamahu prajananam prajanam. Mohamannam vindate aprachetaha. Satyam bravimi vadayistasasya. Naryamanam pushyatino sakhayam. Kevala agho bhavati kevaladi. This is the Anna Sukta in the Veda. Kevala agho bhavati kevaladi. The Taittiriya Upanishad says, Annam nanindyat tadvratham. Do not abuse food. Tadvratham. And expend your energy to earn what you eat. If you have not expended your energy, you have no right to eat. Point number one. Point number two is, once you earn something out of your effort, you share it with people. You share it with people. Only then you have the right to eat. Only then you have the right to eat. Otherwise, you will be eating what is sin. You distribute it among people. If there are no people, at least give it to an animal, because God says that I have created an animal also. Vidya vinaya sampanne brahmane gavihastini shunichaiva shvapake cha panditaha samadarshinaha. A person will look at an animal and a human being as. In the Ramayana, when Sita, in the Sundarakanda, Sita talks to Anjaneya, she asks a question, Vanaranam naranam va kathamasit samagamaha. Vanaranam naranam va kathamasit samagamaha means, when did Vanaras and Nara mean? But Sita was Sakshat Jaganmatha, and Anjaneya was a Navavyakarana Pandita. At the level of their discussion, would there be such a simple discussion where Sita asks, when did Rama and Vanara meet? Vanaranam naranam va. The underlying meaning of Sita's statement there is, what a Saushilya guna Rama has got. What a trait to melt down to a devotee who is not even a human. Rama has got, where he goes and befriends a Vanara. This is the trait of Rama. Vanaranam naranam va kathamasit samagama. So very importantly, we need to understand that if there are no people, at least to an animal we will have to feed. But when you get something, because today the square meal a day, whatever we get, it is out of the effort what we expend. And that comes because of the grace of the Lord. And anything what we partake, anything what we eat is like a prasada. That has to be distributed among people. and then we will have to take. Otherwise, kevalagho bhavati kevaladi bhungte stena eva saha. Every post is a post of sacrifice, is what is said here. In the 11th verse, again it is said, Devan bhavayatanena, te deva bhavayantu vaha, parasparam bhavayantaha, shreyaha param avapsyatam. Anena, by this type of sacrifice, that is, work with a feeling of sacrifice. Devan bhavayata, worship the gods who are ensouled in me. Krishna says, all the gods are ensouled in me. Deva and Devi. I.K. Taimni, who was an IIT professor of chemistry, has written a book called Gods and Goddesses. In that, he writes, God is the function and goddess is the energy behind that particular function. God is the function and goddess is the energy behind that function. A function would not exist without the energy which it needs to be performed. This is from the book Gods and Goddesses, written by I.K. Taimni. Part of the book is freely downloadable from the Google. Otherwise, we may have to purchase it. I.K. Taimni. It's a beautiful book in terms of interpreting the energy centers to whom we have given the names God, idle energy. We call it Varuna. Solar energy, we call it Surya. Then wind energy, we call it Vayu. We give it a form so that we can externalize initially and then start internalizing. So, very importantly, Anena, by this sacrifice, by giving back to the nature, all the energy centers would be happy and the nature conspires to come and work for us. Devan bhavayata, worship the gods who are ensouled by me. Te devaha, let those gods, because the Lord says here, Krishna says, I am the soul inside everybody. I am the soul inside everybody. Let those gods, vaha bhavayantu, make you prosperous. Parasparam bhavayantaha, taking care of each other mutually. Param shreyaha avapsyatha, you will attain the utmost good, which is liberation. Here, one thing we need to understand. In normal parlance, we say work is a stressor. Work has bound me. But here, Krishna gives an anti explanation to what we feel. He says, work is liberating. Work is moksha dharma. What is yoga? Yoga is from the dhatu yuj, the union between Jivatma and Paramatma. That is yoga. When he says karma yoga, he talks about work being liberating, and that is a moksha sadhana. Every work, we have got all these works, what we are performing today, through our karmas. It is God by choice. We need to understand it is God by choice because we have craved for it. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam. Again in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tyajant ante kalevaram tam tamevaiti kaunteya sadatad bhava bhavitaha. Whatever we have craved for in our previous birth, we become that in the next birth. So, when we work for the good of our team, when we work for the good of the society, when we work for the good of the nature, Devan Bhavayata, that becomes the worship of the soul who is inside everybody. Manava Seva, Madhava Seva is what we say. But Manava Seva, it is Madhava Seva is Sarvabhuta Seva. Madhava Seva is Sarvabhuta Seva, that which is created. Let those gods, Vaha Bhavayantu, make you prosperous. When you give, you can take. When you give, you can take. Taking care of each other mutually. A team member has to take care of each and every person mutually. Param Shreyaha Avapsyata. You will attain the ultimate good. You will not fall into prayas. There are two words in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, Shreyas and Prayas. Shreyas is attaining the ultimate good. The ultimate good is liberation. Prayas is falling into worldly pursuits and again and again, again and again, again and again coming back. So, very importantly, we need to understand that we will have to perform our work with the spirit of sacrifice. We will have to perform our works with the spirit of giving to the society, giving to people who are there with us. And then, at that point in time, the soul, the Lord who is there as the soul inside everybody, would be happy, make the people happy, and they would be inspired to support each one of us in our pursuits by the yajnas, worship the gods with the idea that they are all having the supreme self as their inner controller. And due to that, let them give you desired fruits and make you prosperous. When gods have the Lord as the inner controller, all of us have the Lord as the inner controller. Thus, mutually, both will benefit. Each member of the team would benefit, and the outcome would be synergized. It would be greater. If there is a 5-member team, it will not be 5 times individual effort. It will be exponential 5 times individual effort. With these thoughts, that work should be done as a sacrifice, work is liberating and not binding, work has to be done for the benefit of others. The outcome got from work should be distributed among people, among all the creation, to the best of our ability. And very importantly, work, we should excel in our work. The sacrifice there, what was told is, if intelligence in a society has to improve, the intelligent people, the professors, have to do their jobs to the best of their ability. If the lakes and the ponds have to be in abundance, then the fishermen have to do their jobs to the best of their ability. Then, if the soldiers in our country have to be good, then the soldiers, the Kshatra Bala, Shatra Shakti has to be good, then the soldiers should do their jobs to the best of their ability. If each one tied to their post of service, their jobs or their seats, do their jobs to the best of their ability, at that point of time, the country grows in prosperity. We were thinking of going from the fifth largest economy to the third largest economy. If we have to become that third largest economy, it is not superficial. Every member of the country has to perform his or her duty to the best of their ability. At that point in time, then the country grows and there is going to be prosperity all round. Work should become a liberator and not a binder. Today, through Vyoma, I'll be sharing these slides, what we discussed, and also certain notes would follow through your logins. And we will be looking at some quizzes, some questionnaires as we go along, maybe from the next class, because today we have started this particular interface. From the next class onwards, we will have certain quizzes and also certain questionnaires to solve. With this, we will end this session. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayaha, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschit dukkavad bhavet. Namaskaram and have a great week ahead.